hauling some crankbaits for walleye. We're up on the north end of the lake, and it's kind of a flat that comes out. Oh, usually sticks right around about 10, 11 feet. It comes up onto another flat, and you got a little bit of a break line there. It goes up to about 6 feet. And we're just working these crankbaits in that 10 to 11 foot, come across the break line. Basically just make a path back and forth. We're gonna see what we can do to pick up some walleye. Yeah, it looks like we got one on here. Hopefully it's not a bullhead this time. Dropped the flag down pretty good, so that's always a good thing. It's always fun catching them on these planer boards, especially when you're running a decent amount of line out. It feels like it's got a little bit of weight to it. Might be a netter. Yeah, maybe not. Doesn't look like it's real big. It's not a bad fish. Looks like it's probably about 21, maybe 22. Yeah, it's a 22 incher. It's not too bad. Let this one go. Hooked into something on this one, I'm not sure. It might be a carp. I'm not moving it. It's a walleye, it's a good one. Hopefully I didn't run over and snag one of these carp in here. It doesn't feel like it's snagged. I haven't seen it yet. The water's kind of dark, so hard to tell exactly what it is. Kind of running like a carp, though. Well, it's a pretty good walleye. Doesn't want to cooperate. It's probably a good 7-8 pounds. All right, wait till you see this one, guys. Shallow water in the weeds. That's what we're after. You can actually see the grass on it right there. Purple smile blade. We'll get a measurement on this. $29. 29-inch walleye. Purple slimer with the chartreuse and red smile blade on the slow death hook. That ought to do it for you. You know, swim off to see another day, make some more babies. So like I told you before, we're out here on Moses Lake, and I moved up into shallower water. I mean, deepest right now that we're probably going to hit maybe is 7 feet. And what I'm doing is I'm running about 1.3 to 1.5, and what I'll do is I'll put on a 1/4 ounce bottom walker. That way when I'm fishing, I can get it out behind the boat. I don't have to worry about using planer boards. And the reason being is because it's really grassy in here. So you'd be constantly having to reel in your planer board, clear it off, set it back out. So I just use a lighter weight, get it out behind the boat, using the electric motor. It doesn't really seem to spook them much. And you know, this is the first time I've been out here on Moses this year. So it's kind of been trial and error just to see where they're at. Like I said, the year's a little bit later. Got a later start this year as far as water temperatures go. We're only running right now about 69 degrees and in pretty shallow water. So, you know, the fish are still up here. Usually they'll move off and they'll be out in that little deeper water once the water temperatures warm up a little bit. So what I've got going on is, like I said, I've got a Max Smile blade and the components from that. And I'm just running a stack bead in front of it, chartreuse as well. Put a red bead in between that and the hook. And I'm just running a purple slimer on the slow death hook. And you know, that'll, no different than if you use a crawler, it'll still sit there and spin just like you want it to. You know, I've noticed that these purple slimers work really well, especially in a little bit stained water. You get that darker color, and you know, it seems to be producing. That last fish, like I said, was 29, just over 29 inches. So I'm guessing it probably right around 7-8 pounds. And the one we got before that, it was right around 20 inches. So we might have something figured out here. We'll see what happens. So just to give you an idea of what we're looking at here, if you look at the screen over here on your normal sonar, what you're seeing is all the grass that's sticking up. If you look at the side scan, you can see there's grass over on the right side of me, and you can see where the edge of that grass is. And then it kind of clears up over here. You got a few patches of weeds on this side, but what I'm trying to do is stay right along that edge of the weeds. And it's not really weeds, it's grass. And what I'm noticing is as long as I stay on the edge of that, these walleye, they're sitting right on the edge and they're looking to ambush. So they see that bait come by and they're darting out and just grabbing a hold of it. I mean, you don't even have to set the hook. They're setting it for themselves, or setting it for me. So that's kind of what you're looking for. And like I said, I mean, you can see we're only running at about 5.5 feet. Running a little bit faster, 1.4 to 1.6. And what'll happen is you'll come through these edges of the weeds like this, or the grass, and you'll see your rod start to wobble a little bit, but it's just pulling through that grass. It doesn't really stick to it too much. What I found works best is just by leaving it in the pole holder. It'll just pull through that grass, clears itself up, and you'll know when the fish comes up and hits it because they're coming up and they're just running with it. So it's something to keep in mind when you're out here fishing a lake like this. All right, so we hooked up with another one. Not quite as big as the last one, but you know, it seems like the fish in here are pretty darn healthy this year, which is good. And they're sitting right on the edge of these grass lines. You'll come across, you'll mark a bunch of grass, and you get right on the edge of that, and they're coming out and they're really pounding it. And as you can see, all the grass That's where they're hanging out at. If you're not either on the edge of the grass or pulling through the grass, you're not getting bit. Not a bad one. Little 16-incher. Good eater. Coloration on this one's a little bit better too, so he's obviously been out in the sun. This one is going to be pretty cool because it's a big crappie. It's kind of rare to see these days. They're starting to make a comeback, which is good. One thing we want to do with these is make sure we try to keep the stock up. Keep those ones that are spawners in here. And let this population grow so that we can have some more crappie. Alright, so we got another one on. This one feels like another pretty decent fish. I'm not moving it much. This is alright, I tell you that much. Hoping to be another 8-pounder, but anytime you're catching fish like this, it's a good day. Got that hook all bent up. Not a bad walleye, about 21, 22. Well, let's just put it on the board and find out. Yep, 21 inches. Same thing. It's funny, you know, I changed colors on that other one and put an orange, and you know, I've tried a couple different colors on that other one, and all the fish have come on the same one. It's a chartreuse smile blade. It's got red stripes in it. For some reason, this has been the hot lure today. They're sure hanging into this grass right on the edge of it. That purple Slimer is doing the trick today. Guess just got the right combination. Finally got one on a different lure. It's not very big. I like the other ones. Little guy though. Crappie. I think that's the smallest one of the day. Probably on that note, we're going to wrap it up. If nothing else, what you're hoping to show you is the fact that when you get up into these weeds like this in the grass, this is kind of a two-part video, because I took my daughters out. We went out to Potholes Reservoir, and in that one we were actually targeting cabbage weed, and you know, that one was we were in about 8 to 10 feet of water most of the time, and the fish were the same way. You get on the edge of the weeds, or you find a clump of weeds that would make kind of an edge, and you just troll along that edge, and you know, they're coming out and ambushing that bait. And like I told you, they're not hitting it light. I mean, they're coming out and they're slamming it. They're hungry, they're aggressive, running at a little bit higher speed. On this one, a lighter weight to get that back behind the boat, and it's been a good combination. So hopefully you learned something.